China has refuted claims by US President Donald Trump that it wants to make him lose his re-election bid in November. Mr. Trump says China would do anything they can to make him lose. He says Beijing wants his Democratic opponent Joe Biden to win the race. The reason, apparently, is to ease American pressure on China over COVID-19 and other issues. Mr. Trump has also lashed out again at the World Health Organization, suggesting it works for China and misled the United States. Mr. Trump has already halted funding for the WHO for allegedly covering up the seriousness of the coronavirus outbreak in China.
They're literally a pipe organ for China. That's the way I view it. So we're seeing and we're looking and we're watching. And again, we give $500 million. We have over the years from 400 to 500 for a long time, for many years. And China is giving $38 million. And yet they seem to work for China.
Now, for more, Olivia Song joins us live. Olivia, it does seem that President Trump is intent on making China accountable for the COVID-19 pandemic. What's been the reaction to that?
Well, China has hit back at the US president's latest comments. About a month ago, we had seen both countries talking about wanting to cooperate, but in recent days, we have seen this war of words continue to escalate during this COVID-19 pandemic. Today, the foreign ministry, the Chinese spokesperson, said that it was taking issue with the US president, saying that he was looking into possible options in terms of consequences for Beijing. Now, as we know, the U.S. has accused China of a cover-up and of mishandling the COVID-19 situation. But the foreign ministry spokesperson said that there is no legal basis for this and no international precedents. And he pointed to previous major epidemics, whether it was H1N1 or Ebola, and said that he could not recall who exactly was punished for this. Now, the other comment that the Chinese Foreign Ministry has taken issue with was the President Trump saying that China would do anything to prevent him from being re-elected. But China has maintained that it has no intention of interfering in the U.S. presidential election. It also said that the U.S. should not view China as the enemy, but see the virus as the enemy, and that the U.S. should remain focused on handling the situation at home instead of blaming China. Have a listen.
我们也多次说过了，美国大选是美国的内部事务，中方没有兴趣去进行干预。同时，我们也希望美国的国内政治不要拿中国说事儿。至于中国的抗疫成效，以及中方为国际抗疫合作所做的贡献，让国际社会自有公论。
Now, this comes as China has faced greater international scrutiny over its transparency and amid calls for an international probe to be done on China's handling of the situation. But the foreign ministry has said that it opposes any sort of independent investigation that presumes its guilt. It says that it opposes a politicized international investigation that is aimed at stigmatizing China.
Olivia, let's look at the virus in the country. Beijing, we know, has eased quarantine rules for visitors ahead of the holiday weekend. And it sure looks like people, they can't wait to travel in China.
Absolutely, there does seem to be an unleashing of some of this pent-up demand, and we do see this as a signal that things are slowly returning to normal in China. And this comes as China is entering into the Labor Day long weekend, a 5-day holiday which begins from tomorrow. And we have to know that strict measures have been in place in Beijing for a while now, even as other cities in the country have eased some of the restrictions. Yesterday, the Beijing authorities announced that it would be lowering its emergency response level. And that has meant that people entering Beijing from low-risk areas would no longer need to be quarantined. Now, of course, people cheered this move, but they also acted. It said that flight booking demand had gone up 15 times within the first half hour that this announcement was made. And the Transport Ministry said that it's expected that 170 million people are expected to travel by road, rail, and air over this Labor Day long holiday. And that works out to be about 23 million people per day, which sounds like a lot, but authorities say that this is actually about a third of the daily volume compared to last year. Most trips are also expected, according to authorities, to be within the provinces of where people live. And precautions are being taken. For example, people will be required to wear a mask when traveling, and safe distancing measures will still be in place. Tourist sites, about 70% of them are said to be open. For example, in Beijing, the Forbidden City will reopen once again during this holiday period. But we have seen reports that all the tickets for this long weekend seem to have been snapped up already. But that's also because authorities are saying that tourist sites need to keep the numbers down to prevent huge crowds. And so some are being told to operate at about 30% of their maximum capacity. But nonetheless, this is likely to be welcomed by the tourism industry, which has been badly affected by this COVID-19 pandemic, even though there are still cautious steps and precautionary measures in place to ensure that we don't see a resurgence of this virus in China.
Well, indeed. Thanks for that update. Olivia Xiong speaking to us there.